He's gonna fix sound, so I'll just shout until then. Welcome back to TALC bargaining. This is really exciting. We have a couple of new faces, new additions. On the district side, we'll introduce themselves in a moment. Just a reminder that we're going to try to start in on time, as usual. But we'll go ahead and make some introductions first, if we don't mind. Kurt, do you want to go ahead and start? We're just going to say your name and who you represent.
Kurt Fazone, Chief Negotiator, Teachers Association of Lee County.
Kevin Daly, President, Teachers Association of Lee County.
Jill Castellano, I am the Vice President of the Teachers Association of Lee County, and I am also a 612 teacher with the virtual.
Randy Mackey, a principal at Ravy Potterworth.
Shay Pearson with TALC. I'm treasurer at TALC. I'm also a testing coordinator at Coast High School.
Sharice Trent, Regional Associate Superintendent for the North Region.
I'm Anna Witten. I am the TALC secretary as well as a 3rd grade reading teacher at Franklin Park Elementary.
Good afternoon, Lori Brooks, Director of Physical and Mental Health Services.
Good afternoon, my name is LaShonda Hutchins-Colon, and I am a 3rd grade math teacher at Franklin Park Elementary.
Hi, I'm Tina Sterrett, and I'm a K-5 art teacher at Tortuga Preserve Elementary School.
Good afternoon, I'm Robert Dodig. I am the school board attorney.
Hold on one second. Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Angela Nader, Regional Associate Superintendent for the East.
Bill Stansel with TALC, I'm a social studies teacher at Cypress Lake Middle.
Heather Rodriguez-Wibbles, I'm a school counselor at Calusa Middle School.
Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Kelfi, HRS coordinator.
Hello everyone, my name is Iris Grimaldi. I'm a licensed mental health professional.
Ryan Mangan, North Region Director, Academic and Student Services.
Mario Loristal, mathematics teacher, South Fort Myers High School.
Nathan Checker, Chief Academic Officer.
Good afternoon, my name is Amy Johnson. I am an ELA teacher for 6th grade at Mariner Middle School.
Kirsten Thompson, Senior Coordinator of Compensation.
Good afternoon, Sarah Cox, Chief Finance Officer.
Hello everyone, I'm Ron Irucci. I am the Senior Director of Labor and Employee Relations and the Chief Negotiator for the district.
And I am Amy French, Coordinator in Employee Relations. Jay is going to email all of you the link to tonight's notes or agenda so that you have that. I'll pass this over to Jay for a moment.
My name is Jay Quintero. I'm a coordinator with Organizational Development and Retention.
Thank you. As I said, Jay's going to email this agenda to everyone. Like I said, we have a couple new people, so I just want to go over some things. We are going to follow an agenda each night. Tonight we're going to make our commitments as a team on how we're going to work. We'll compile our shared interests. We'll talk about the articles that will be opened. We're going to go over some housekeeping items, and then we will start gathering story on our articles. So as we bargain, we do have a I'm missing the word. Type of bargaining we have. Interest-based. I lost the word interest. Thank you. So we have interest-based bargaining. So we try to come together and share our work on our common interests. If, when we go to a vote, those of you who are new, if you give me a thumbs up, it means that you totally agree with what we are saying. If you put your thumb to the side, you can live with it. You don't love it, you don't hate it, you can live with it. And when you have your thumb to the side and you can live with it, you live with it always. When you leave this room, you're still supporting it. If you have your thumb down, which you can do, you just have to tell us what it's going to take to get you to have your thumb to the side or straight up. All right, any questions about that? Good, all right. Okay. Jay just shared with everybody's leeschools.net email address. So you should have access to the agenda. It's a little slow, okay. Okay, what is the first thing on our agenda? Commitments, thank you. So do we want to go ahead and start naming some of our commitments? Sometimes we call them agreements or norms. I just like the word commitments because then we are going to commit to doing these things as a team. Anybody can just go ahead and shout out. Assume good intentions. Thank you, Kirsten. Sorry, Tina. Begin and end time. Hold on, we're gonna let Jay have a second to get caught up. I'm sorry, go right ahead again. Was it Anna?
Limit sidebar.
Thank you, Anna. What else?
Respect the process.
Respect the process. Somebody go over here. Oh. What else?
Silent cell phones.
Silent cell phones. Thank you for reminding me to do that. Actually did that actually before we came in.
Make sure I
Anyone still missing the agenda? Tina? Christina's?
Amy, sorry that was loud. I would add respect each other.
Respect each other like that.
There are two Amy Johnson in Lake County, so I just not received it.
Amy Johnson.
I'm at Marion Middle School.
Is it Amy J. Joe?
No. Although, interestingly enough, the other Amy Johnson is Amy Marie, but her email address is Amy J. Joe.
Joe, her computer froze up, or their computer froze up again. Can you?
Amy, I just sent it to you, you know.
It's in the shared drive from last year as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe.
I would like to propose as a commitment that we try as much as possible to have our discussions remain on the topic that we're discussing at hand.
Topics are gonna remain, discussions are gonna remain on topic. I'm gonna slow down for 1 second while Jay gets their computer situated. Yeah. Bill doesn't?
That's why that's the list that I made.
Oh, yeah, I'll probably use William. Okay, anyone else?
I have a copy of that, but.
I think last year we had take breaks when needed, so if somebody walks out, it's,
Yep.
take a break.
Remember your,
Remember your.
I forgot. As I took a break when I needed it.
Any other commitments? Assume good intentions, begin and end on time, limit sidebars, respect the process, maintain transparency, silent cell phones, respect each other, maintain on topic, take breaks when needed. Anything else?
What about issues, not individuals?
That's my favorite, thank you, Anna. Your future spouse.
I mean, I'm just looking at last year's list.
Yeah.
Using available resources.
Just working smarter, not harder.
That's right. And again, this is always a living document, we can add things as we need.
Well, I don't think using available resources.
No.
Limit sidebars.
We're in a sidebar with
out in the open.
All right. Can we agree with these commitments that both need to do this work? Okay, everyone's agreement already. This is fantastic. Okay, the next thing is our shared interests. So again, we can just popcorn those out. Teacher retention. Teacher retention. Thank you. We know all about that. Your department. And recruitment. And recruitment, okay.
Employee morale.
Employee morale. Okay.
Okay. Reduction of compression.
Okay.
Reduction of what, sorry?
Compression.
Oh, student achievement.
Sorry?
Student achievement.
Culture, equity, compliance.
Safety.
Are those ones that we, that we really want to focus on this time? Okay. Culture, equity, compliance.
Implementation and manageability.
Implementation and manageability. Competitiveness. Any other shared interests?
Fiscal responsibility.
Fiscal responsibility.
Are you sure that's the shared one? Oh, really?
Which runs the risk does. Iris?
Employee and student wellness.
Employee and student wellness. Anything else you want to add? Again, also living documents, so if you want to add. So as we're talking about our articles, we want to and our agreements, we want to make sure that they align to our shared interests.
One more.
Transportation. Okay. Well, can we agree to these shared interests?
Yes, I can agree.
All right, thank you very much. Second agreement. All right. We have a couple of housekeeping items, I think, that we wanted to address tonight. Did you have some housekeeping?
Floors is vacuum, I don't know.
Ron, have some housekeeping items you want to talk about tonight?
Yeah, so a couple things that, and I don't know, we typically codify any MOUs that are outstanding if need be. Is that okay if we talk about those first?
Sure.
So we do have 2 MOUs that we have in place that are contrary to the current contract language. So I would consider as a housekeeping item, changing Article 11 under benefits. The amount of the board contribution is currently $9,213.60. And so we changed that to, I believe, $9,513.60. If somebody wants to fact check me on that, I'd appreciate that, but that's what I got, yes. The current contract language includes the amount of $9,213.60.
Correct.
And the amount in the MOU, I believe, is, the copy I looked at was $9,513.60, as far as the board contribution.
That's correct.
So we're hoping to clarify that, based on MOUs that are behind the sign.
Can we just vote on that? We are on a roll.
15%.
The next one is the CTE industry certification language. We do have an MOU that is in place. That is Article 10.03J. And the MOU states that in 10.03J, we have, hold on. We have 3 tiers of certifications. The current contract language has tier 1 at $25. And the MOU makes all of the tiers $50. So that is a bonus to any CTE teacher in a career tech program. Every time a student passes their industry certification, that teacher gets a bonus of $50.
This is also a signed MOU already. Can we agree to this? Excellent.
In the first MOU under there, can you put a space between under and benefits?
Anything else? What else we got? Housekeeping? Keep going.
All right, in Article 1, and this is again a conversation that we've had through labor management meetings. So in Article 1.03, it lists under the bargaining unit, so that I'm just gonna go ahead and read it to you so we don't have to call it up here and get off track with our agenda. So basically it defines the bargaining unit and who is eligible as all regular employees who are certified instructional personnel or are employed in a position requiring a certificate, whether or not such employee holds a certificate. This includes, but is not limited to, all classroom teachers, and then it says special instructional staff, comma, media specialists, itinerant instructional staff, school psychologists, school social workers, school counselors, school nurses, OT PTs, behavior specialists, behavior analysts, and JROTC instructors. We've had some folks say, well, are those all then considered special instructional? Or can we take, is this a housekeeping item where we can just say the special instructional people and then list who they specifically are? And then the other ones would then be included in addition. So I guess I would propose that we say all classroom teachers, special instructional staff as defined as itinerant staff, school sites, school social workers, school counselors, school nurses, OT PTs, and I think that's it.
So we can add all of them.
Well, school counselor, yeah, so the ones that, go ahead, Kurt.
So the list of job descriptions is located in, the list of job titles for special instructional is listed on the last page of the Appendix C. So I think if we just lifted those 2, 4, 6, 8,
CCA's in there though?
I'm sorry?
In the instructional salary schedule, is that which appendix you're referring to?
The one that says instructional positions.
Yes.
Oh, BCBA.
BCBA, sorry.
Yeah, they're there.
There's, okay.
Itinerant staff is not a job description.
Right.
So I don't know that wording needs to be in 1.03.
Yeah, I agree. I guess this is an opportunity to clean that up, so whatever.
Would you be amenable to saying special instructional staff as identified in Appendix C? Or do you want to actually list them all out?
That's fine, but in the one part, if you go back into one of the appendix under instructional salary schedule, it actually lists athletic trainers and BCBAs under special instructional.
They're also listed in Appendix C under special instructional.
Okay.
So athletic trainers are not considered?
Yes.
They are considered special instructional?
They always have been, yeah.
Oh, that's right, they're on the committee, yeah.
So I guess related to that then, when we go back into some areas within the contract, we may have to take a look at that, because sometimes when we refer to special instructional, like the coverage piece, the planning piece, they're not included in that. So I think we just have to be careful, because we've had some folks say, well, because our BCBAs are not included in the special instructional language that guarantees when they're covering for a vacancy. Am I off base with that? You're looking at me like I'm...
It just says in Article 10.04, oh man.
Yeah.
Line numbers would really help here. 10.04.4D. It says special instructional staff that cover a vacant position. I think what you're referring at the beginning, it talks about planning time and it lists out school counselors specifically.
Yeah, I think, and that's my issue is that in different places, there's not a lot of clarity when it comes to who actually are we talking about in those cases. So, and maybe that's, a side or a separate kind of conversation to gotta go through and.
Yeah, we need to look at all the examples. I thought our intent was anytime the word special instructional was used, it was this list of however many I counted a minute ago. 13 job descriptions here. It's the last page of Appendix C, right before the instructional supplement salary schedule. It lists all instructional positions, classroom, non-classroom, and then special instruction.
So basically, the language is just gonna refer to what's defined in the appendix.
Sure.
Lori?
Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you. Okay.
I will let you
In Appendix C under special instructional, if we could just ensure the list is A, all encompassing, and B, there is one for school social worker district lead. That's a little, I don't know that we have a district lead, so it's a little confusing.
I think he's talking about the very end.
No, she's in the right place. There is a job description for it.
Right,
It just may
okay,
not
so
be-
we're just including job descriptions that are, okay,
That's what
that's fine.
this list was. Sorry.
Okay, because the paragraph that's referenced in the article, I think the whole point is it omits some, but even like licensed mental health professionals not there, but it's in the appendix. So as long as we can ensure it's all encompassing on this particular list that's up on the screen now, and then that we can put it into that article, that'd be great.
Oh, I'll get it right. No, it does not.
Then maybe we shorten this provision even more and just include the first sentence. Says this includes but not limited to all classroom, non-classroom, and special instructional job descriptions as listed in Appendix C.
I think that's great. Did you write that down? Because you have to say that again for
Oh, it's okay. So keep sentence 1, and then sentence 2 would now read, this includes, comma, but is not limited to, all classroom, non-classroom, oh, maybe you should say classroom instructional, comma, non-classroom instructional, comma, and special instructional staff as defined in Appendix C. I don't know how you want to wrap in who are employed by the district. I mean, that's.
Is JROTC a part of that? Are they listed in that?
No. Oh, you're right. So then keep the JROTC piece as well.
But what if they should be in the classroom, right? And they're not. They're classroom. They should be in their classroom teacher, right? Sorry.
I have to look and see.
Sounds like it. They're not listed under classroom teacher part of that. Maybe we just need to add them under classroom teachers to the appendix.
Sure.
No?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd be their own line, yeah.
Right.
Joe.
And I don't,
Are we able to like, I know I can't see this, but I know in PeopleSoft it will show like classroom teacher. Do the JROTCs, does it say like teacher, classroom, JROTC? Is it, it's separate in PeopleSoft for them?
It says teacher, it says TCH for them.
So then we don't need to add a line if they're coded the same way as another classroom, correct? As another classroom teacher?
It is a separate job description?
JROTC is, yes.
I don't see it.
There's a separate job supplement for it.
There's a supplement.
There's a supplement, but we're just looking at listed positions, that's all.
Person is their job description separate to JROTC, for classroom JROTC. I think this is a separate job code. A code, a description, classroom description, job description. For a duty.
I don't think it's a separate job description, it's just a separate job code.
Okay, that's different than that, okay.
I don't see it listed under the TALC job descriptions on your website.
Okay.
It's very good explanation.
Thank you for clarifying that, Jill. So we're not gonna list them separate.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
We're not gonna list the ROTC separately. Sure.
Trying hard not to just jump in there and make a change. And I'm not trying to be nitpicky. We should put a comma after limited to.
Okay.
Classroom instructional, not classroom. And then add the word staff after special instructional.
Okay.
And do you want the phrase, who are employed by the district in there as it currently exists?
I think so.
Then,
So after Appendix C, who are employed in the district?
sure,
Is that where it is now?
yes,
Okay. By or in the district?
by.
Thank you. Capital D, district. Kevin?
Yeah, so I think back to the JROTC thing, everything seems cool, but there may be something we're not thinking about here, so I just.
You would like to list them separately?
No, I don't want to necessarily list them separately, I just want to acknowledge the fact that, we completely say that, yes, they're in the bargaining unit. And if there's something where we needed to list them separately that none of us knew about, that we, are more than happy to keep them in, I just don't want them, by removing them, we're not taking them off the birth certificate. We think we're doing what we need to do, clean it, but oftentimes we don't have all the answers. Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else for housekeeping?
Yeah, if we are all good with that?
Okay, I'm so sorry. Are we good with this one? With clarifying what special instruction, kind of separate them? Good? Jill, you good with that?
Oh, yeah, I have my.
Okay, sorry. Heather's good. Mario's good. Nathan, all good with that? Thank you, guys. Another agreement, orange circle, or orange lines.
Again, part of the conversation in Article 2 that we've had through labor management. In Article 2, we talk about bargaining. I'm looking for the specific.
I think it's Article 3.
Yeah, it is Article 3. I can't read my writing, sorry.
I can read wrong.
Article 3.01, bargaining sessions. The meeting place, time, and agenda for each collective bargaining session shall be as agreed upon by the superintendent and the association's designated representatives. The parties agreed to use the interest-based bargaining process. Conversation really was around, whether or not we always use the IBB process as trained, which we came to kind of consensus in labor management that we probably should call this modified interest-based bargaining, because in essence, that's what we've been doing for the last few years. No, it's actually a thing.
Can you file that paper for us?
According to Chad, well, a Gemini, I should say.
Any discussion with this, Kirk?
Just a tad, from labor management, we reached consensus on the idea that we follow IBB pretty well until it comes to money. And so, yeah, who would have thought, right? So that's kind of the idea of changing this to modified IBB to kind of respect our past practice.
And just full disclosure, we don't revert back to traditional bargaining even when it comes to compensation. We still present options, we talk about them, and in traditional, you just exchange proposals. We don't do that either, so that's why it's a modified version of both of them.
And I had Jake capture that reason. Okay. Isn't that typically where it is? You want me to say something else? Or do I leave it undefined? And then we get to decide? Or you all get to decide?
So is the language, is it the second sentence, the parties agree to use the interest-based process? Here we'd say the parties agree to use a modified interest-based process?
That's what I would propose, yeah.
Okay. So you don't want the rationale up there, Kevin, is what you're telling me? Okay. Delete it.
Anna has a question.
My question is, thinking of like in the future, the team beyond this team that's all sitting here, how would that benefit them to have it say modified interest-based process versus than what it says right now? Like, how does that benefit people in the future from having that language in there?
I don't know if I have an answer to that. I mean, I guess, it's recommended that any IBB usually goes through some regular interval of retraining, depending on the bargaining unit. So if we were to have, one of the things we did last year was bring FMCS in, which they don't really exist anymore, but, so FMCS would typically recommend that every 3 years or so that you retrain or have some, kind of modified training. You don't have to go through the entire process, but, and I don't know if you remember, for those of you that are at FMCS, the trainer actually said most school districts, most bargaining teams use kind of a modified version of that. Because typically that's what happens with everybody at some point, especially when it comes to compensation. So I don't know if you wanna, I'm certainly okay with figuring out a way to say what specifically you mean by modified, but. I mean, so what FMCS usually recommends is when you're doing language other than compensation, you really do use the IB process. You wanna figure out what the issue is and then work together to try to solve it. And then in our case, it would be compensation where we would present proposals, have discussion. It wouldn't be reverting back to traditional, but like a modified version of that. So I don't know how to codify that, but yeah, maybe somebody has a good idea.
We got, Rob and then her.
I would just suggest saying to modify the IBB as agreed to by the parties prior to each bargaining session or each year of bargaining, whatever we want to call it. I mean, and then in labor management, you can talk about it and then it's covered, my suggestion.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I like his idea better than mine.
Okay. So that these the team would decide
Supplement, like I was listening, so.
So Rob, we're going to note here, so each bargaining session, the team would determine what modified means.
It would be determined in pre-bargaining, yeah. Right.
So you could say it's agreed to by the parties during pre-bargaining.
Okay.
So, well, if you read on, it says the TALC Labor Management Committee shall meet to determine the agenda, training schedule, and calendar for bargaining. We can add right there, can meet to determine the modified IBB process, comma, the agenda, so on and so forth. So in 3.01, the new language would say the parties agree to use the modified interest-based process and then the next sentence would read the TALC Labor Management Committee shall meet to determine the modified IBB process comma, agenda, and then I would just put ... which would refer to the rest of the language.
Questions or comments on this?
Let's test.
I love it. Let's test this one. All in agreement? Very efficient group. One more, okay?
This one may or may not be housekeeping. Under Article 10, performance pay, and maybe this is just a clarity or an explanation. In 10.0, 10.06.4, under performance pay. So the language reads, Instructional staff who are annual contract status and employed by the district at the time of ratification and payment will receive an increase in base salary of $300 if they receive an it says FY '24, so we'd have to change that again to reflect the year. But the fiscal year final performance evaluation rating of highly effective. And then it says $225 if they receive the FY '24 manager's rating of effective. So why is there a difference between the final performance evaluation and then the next part that says the manager's rating?
I think that was oversight.
Okay.
And if I recall correctly, somebody correct me if I'm incorrect. Wow, that confused me. I think we used manager rating because the idea was to finish before the end of the year. The final performance rating wasn't available yet because FAM is late into the, later in the year.
Right.
So I think both should say manager's rating.
So I think it was fiscal.
Can we do that? Is that what the state statute says? Does it say final or managers?
I don't think it says.
Or do we have that?
I think that performance pay, I don't believe the statute says.
Yeah.
Do you?
We use manager's rating because we knew the states were gonna be out.
Yeah.
In October, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the statute says you have to use the final performance.
Again, when going through this, it just gives the impression that the only way you get $300 is on the final performance rating. It wouldn't be the manager's rating. So if we just say the manager's rating, that's fine. I think it provides clarity there.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
So it is housekeeping.
Okay. All right. So test this one. Do you agree with making sure that we have both references in the performance pay refer back to the manager rating? Shay has a question first.
Well, just if we're fixing it in 10.04,
10.044B.
okay, but, okay.
Can we test this one first and then come back to the other one?
Well, it's 10.0.
10.04 is non-standard rate of pay.
10.06.
10.064.
Sorry, 10.064, not 10.04.
So it's in 4 and it's in B.
Right, it's just in two spots.
Yes.
Okay. Are they both talking about the exact same thing?
Yes.
Is that right? Let me fact check.
I can count it.
Okay.
In item 4, it talks about eligible or ineligible for career ladder movement. And
Performance-based salary increases, I think it should also say manager's rating to be consistent.
Okay. So we'll change it in 10.04 what? B?
10.06 parentheses 4 and 10.06 parentheses 4 parentheses B.
Okay.
And in B, final performance rating is there a number of times.
Okay, so we'll change it to managers. Ready? I just got it. Okay. Jay's gonna get reconnected in a moment, but, so give me a thumbs up if we can agree with that change from final performance and change all of those references to manager's rating. Okay, yeah,
You disagree?
No, I said to cross-reference the statute.
yeah, that's kind of what I was asking.
So until statutes are cross-referenced.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can we table it for next time?
I wouldn't want to go to jail for that.
Okay.
I'm going to jail for other stuff.
We're gonna table it?
Yeah, that's fine. I think we should probably make sure that the statute is reflected.
I know the first thing we talked about is
I
not
know, that is what I was worried about, some of the other stuff too, yeah.
I forgot we do have housekeeping.
Oh, you guys have a housekeeping?
We do.
Okay, excellent.
Consider that.
Okay. Ron, do you have any more housekeeping? Okay. Go ahead, Kurt.
No, I don't.
All right, I'm hoping that we can consider this one housekeeping item 2. I'm on page 111 of the contract, 15.03 duration. And we often reach consensus on extending the length of the contract. So while we're here, I'm wondering if we can extend the duration of this contract for FY 26, 7, and 28. And then make the dates in the following sections, update those as necessary.
So he's wondering if housekeeping is duration for 3 years to FY 28.
Yeah, I think this is part of a conversation too. I don't think we have any objections to that at all, being housekeeping.
Okay.
So then under reopener, that date would need to be March 31, 27.
2027?
Yes,
Thank you.
and under successor agreement, it would need to be June 30th, 2028. 9? No, 2028.
Yeah.
Correct. I do.
But aren't we already in FY 26? We're under contract for FY 26?
We are right now negotiating for FY 27, which is actually the last year of the contract, so we would.
28, 29.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have we have not done a full book bargaining in a while. So that's why that language in number 2, 1503-2 is in there. So I'm just throwing it out there. Is there ever a desire from either team to do a successor agreement? And I know Mr. Daly has his hand up because he is soon to retire. So I guess we're trying to get to that point perhaps.
So from my perspective, this was supposed to be the whole book year, but we very quickly realized we probably wouldn't be able to do it. And the one thing that my predecessor left me in my first year of bargaining was a full book, which was an excellent learning experience, but not necessarily appreciated and probably a cruel joke on his behalf. So as you're saying, I mean, it is the worst kept secret, 16 months and 13 days. And in fact, we've had discussions about what happens next year when in the middle of March, there's an incoming TALC president, and what do I do at that point? Because I would be a lame duck person who is negotiating a deal they don't have to live under. So I think it would at least be prudent to give the new person 1 year under their belt before they decide to open the whole thing. And quite honestly, I think we've done a pretty good job in the past of addressing problems as they've come up. And we do pretty good maintenance, and so I'm not sure what full book looks like even if we did it, because we do a pretty good job maintaining. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'll give it to Kurt.
To correct something that's on the screen here, if you could take the D out of reopener, please. And the date should be March 31, 2027. The successor agreement would be June 30th, 2028.
No, 2029.
The parties agree to commence negotiations for a successor agreement, it's the year prior. And then, to your point, I neglected 15.06 expiration. That date would need to be June 30, 2029.
So in essence, we're just really extending it 1 year before we open a full book.
Yeah, 28, 29, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Want to test it, Kurt?
Sure.
All right, let's test the 15.03 duration. All right, unanimous. Look at this. So much unanimity. Okay. So we have done our commitments, our shared interests, housekeeping. We'll move on to some articles that we wish to open, including some story with that. Okay. Who would like to go first?
do you wanna do this? Do you wanna just list the articles opening, or do you wanna go one at a time?
Do you mind if we list the articles opening first and then we'll come back and do story on those?
So TALC is opening Articles 2 and 2 and 7.
2 and 7, thank you.
2 is rights, privileges, and responsibilities. Article 7 is work schedule.
And the district is just, in addition to those articles, Article 12.
Okay, and then we always open Article 10 and 11.
Let's put 10 and 11 up there, just so people don't get concerned that they didn't see it.
Right. Okay,
Well, let's 10 and 11 is joint.
yeah, let's do that. 10 and 11 are joint, I like that. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with story for Article 2. If we just go, okay?
So we start story with a question, right?
Yep.
Now,
issue with the question.
so we could do this one of two ways. I can read the question slowly, or I could paste it right in there if that's better for you, and then read it.
Go ahead and paste it. You okay with that? Yeah.
Let me set this down. All right, so Article 2, we have two different questions that we would like to look at answering, or issues we'd look at solving. This one is, how can we ensure the association is able to effectively fulfill its statutory role as the exclusive bargaining agent by communicating with and organizing bargaining unit employees during non-instructional time, while maintaining uninterrupted school operations and ensuring that solicitation does not interfere with employees' official duties? I know that was
Very good question.
So, story?
So, how long has it been? 3 weeks now?
Yes.
So, we're looking at just maybe enshrining TALC's longstanding past practice of speaking to bargaining unit members during time that they're not in front of kids. Whether it's, duty-free lunch, planning time, things of that nature. This came about because we had some of my colleagues who work for the National Education Association do what we call shared staffing, where folks that do the job I do, Lois does, Elizabeth will be doing, in other states across the nation that are affiliated with the NEA. And they gave up a week of their time in their county, their local, to come here and help us talk to folks about the importance of their union, their professional organization. And we had some wonderful conversations. And in, I would say, 95% of the places, it was very effective to walk the halls and have some of those conversations with folks. If people didn't want to talk to us, we respectfully walked away, didn't talk to them. But we found that when we sit in a lounge, or sit in the media center, or in some dark recess of the building, it's really hard to kind of meet people where they are. And so I guess our proposal, I have some contract language here that we stole from the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association, CBA, to just, like I said, enshrine our practice of speaking to folks while they're not in front of students.
Questions or comments?
I have it ready to go though.
Ron?
And again, just kind of had some of these conversations in getting some feedback, and we tried to do as much as we could to get information out that, you know, the purpose of the meeting was to, as Kerr said, talk to some members or eligible or maybe potential members about the benefits of belonging to the association. And quite honestly, you know, some of the feedback that we got in relation to that is, in this day and age, again, you know, we've had some kids that get anxious when people are walking around the building. So we need to be cognizant of that, you know, we need to, if whatever we come up with, the communication piece of that probably has to be, you know, really intentional about doing that. And we did get some feedback from some teachers that said that they felt, you know, somewhat pressured at that point because, you know, people are knocking on the door without, and I don't know, again, if we didn't do a great job of communicating out to all the staff members that was potential, but those are the things I think we just need to add to the story in the conversation. All right, so I guess I really didn't have a question, but I just had a comment related to that, so.
Tina, you have a comment or question? I'm sorry.
Comment. Okay. I will tell you that as it got set up, I had representative come to my building, and at no time, even when we were planning this, was it stated that this person would walk through the building on their own. They were escorted at all times. I will tell you from experience, my students loved meeting a person from a different state. I did not have any teacher that felt uncomfortable if nobody was directed independently. If somebody was like not a member, nobody was called out. But it made available this person to answer any questions that I couldn't answer or that Kevin and Kerr weren't able to answer. But it also helped us get more members in the building. But my biggest point is, from my experience, no one seemed worried, children or adults, because this person's visitor was escorted at all times.
Thank you for sharing that.
And for me, I mean, we were really blessed, both TALC and SPOUT, to have people. Can you imagine it's not a hard sell to talk to people in, like, you know, Wyoming and Montana to come to Florida for a week? It was a little colder than we had wanted it for, but it was really good. But I think kind of moving forward, the people that will be doing this work, and Tina is right, we specifically had reps out for the day with release time, because again, as an administrator, I will say, the idea of somebody I don't know wandering my campus is slightly concerning. But again, the reps had release time, and they wandered around one-on-one with, walked one-on-one with the person. I will say, when I was in Hillsborough and we did it, it was a little more, they didn't have all the reps released. I was in a building with maybe 5 or 6 people, and we walked around in pairs. So odds are at that building, we didn't have somebody that had a connection to the building, and that made me feel a little uneasy. But I think moving forward, this is work that I will do. I mean, I'm already kind of targeting schools that I will do, and Kerr will do, and Elizabeth will do, and Lois will do, and Arlise will probably do in the future. So it will be, you know, I'm a 29-year employee. Kerr's been here 10 years or whatever. Lois has been here over 20, and Elizabeth has a connection that goes, you know, way back 15, 20 years or something, I would say. So again, I think moving in the future, this type of work will be done either by a rep at the building locally we give release time to do it for the day, or one of us in the office. And I will say, we did work very hard with the administrators and the reps to ensure there was no testing. You know, we wanted to make sure we weren't coming on a day when there was testing, and I think there was a school that had something, and we came a little later. So, you know, we're also very cognizant of the fact that it is a school and its primary operation is the education of children. But sitting in the lounge in this day and age, you know, just doesn't get the same since COVID, honestly. People aren't really hanging out in the teacher lounge anymore. So, you know, and again, we're not interrupting instruction. And for me, it's, you have a minute, no, I'm fine, thanks, great, have a great day. I in no way want to get in a situation where I'm conversing with somebody at a school site that does not want to talk to me. That is not what I signed up for. And so for me, it really will be, do you have the time yeah, that's great, or if you have to, no, not a problem, have a great day, because again, I don't want to go into somebody's workplace and have an argument with somebody else. Doesn't do anybody any good.
We kind of, I had Jay collect some of the thoughts abstractly, so can we make sure this is okay? That Tina did not have any issues with the visits at her school. The district received calls that students were afraid and teachers felt pressured during the visits. Kevin visited Hillsborough and there weren't any issues. And then moving forward will most likely be done by building reps and local association leadership.
That's yes.
Okay, do you want us
To clear up anything?
No. I would
Okay.
like to add that our people were escorted.
Okay, Tina wants us to add that you escorted people. I think they were escorted at every
Every building, we didn't
yeah.
get someone where we couldn't release
This is off the record. How many people were in the group that went?
So the first week, in each school?
Yes.
It was
like
the rep
traveled
and
together.
one outside person.
Okay,
The first week we had 4.
that traveled together.
We only did one NEA volunteer and a rep. We didn't go in mass.
Okay.
And we did 4 schools a day, the first, maybe 5 schools a day the first week. And we had 6 NEA volunteers plus some FEA staff the second week, so we did 7 or 8 schools a day the second week.
Thank you for clarifying that.
We were very strategic about which schools we picked and what time we went.
Yep, thank you for that.
I have a proposed option if you want to go ahead and go to options.
Oh, I don't know if we're ready to do that. Well, I mean, you can
Do a
anytime
story,
present an
but if
option.
you want us
Yeah, right. But I have a question, if it's okay. So what, can I, and maybe it's part of the option that you're gonna present, Kerr, but what is wrong with the current language then specifically that you think hampers you from that? Because I think it's important to state that, like what's wrong with the current contract?
So I will speak about the experience we just had. So in labor management, we kind of hammered out this deal that we would be able to proceed like we were going to proceed. And there was some pushback from some administrators, and the deal we had worked out in labor management all of a sudden became a suggestion. And so, again, Mr. Burnside isn't here, but he often says, oh, hey, I didn't see you come in. Sorry, I've been coughing a lot. He often says we negotiate like for the 5% of each group. And so I think just having it in the contract and having kind of our rights be there for, as Anna once said earlier tonight, the time when no one is left at this table, I think it just makes sense to codify. And another thing Kurt's going to talk about is access to NTO. We've never not had access to NTO, but we may as well put that down too, that we get access.
What's NTO?
New teacher orientation. We've never not had access to that, and it's always been great. And I've been given a couple of minutes at the beginning, and we've had tables and classes. But again, I think in the idea that with changes in the district in the past 4 or 5 years, fresh eyes in the contract have pointed out things that all of us assumed were in there and we're okay with that probably just need to be codified. So I think, just having this in the language and just, again, doing everything we can to assuage principles about who's coming on their building, what it's going to look like and what we're going to do, I think it just more clearly defines for everybody now and in the future kind of what we want to do and what we think we deserve access to.
So, Carl has his hand up, but I'll let Carl go first, because he's one of the principals.
Carl Burnside. Okay. And this is mine. So we at Dunbar, we did have my rep, along with the person who I did meet when my rep brought her by. I think it was a she, if I remember correctly. Interacted some. I think whenever there's something different, we're in this era of sometimes people being nervous about doing things. And so I had a principal who called me and they said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just let them talk." And they'll be selective. But it wasn't, in that case, the principal who called me wasn't like being negative, just did not know. So I think a lot of times it's just about just talking upfront about, hey, this is what this is about. I explained to them, and I said, it's not a gotcha. But sometimes when you're new in this seat, you're gonna be a little more, at times, cautious. So that's perhaps what happened with some of the folks. That principal happened to call me and said, oh, okay, but is that basically it? Because they really, sometimes the reps don't necessarily, I have a very open dialogue with my rep. And sometimes that's not necessarily always the case. And I think that's where sometimes the breakdowns perhaps come in. But it was, my rep also knows like they were not going to interrupt the class while they're teaching.
Yeah,
And things of that nature. Typically they were trying to, they come into the planning periods and,
Yeah, that's what we
and where they
did.
might find the people, but there wasn't anything scheduled out. And they sort of had impromptu discussions and things of that nature. So that was, so I think some of it will be just, it's like with anything else, something that's different. And, principals are under fire a lot of times, so they're just, a lot of times just nervous about, and I don't get nervous that easily, so. But anyway, I suspect that's probably what was happening, because the principal that called me was more of just, hey, is this okay if I do this, you think? And just very sincerely said, and once I explained it, this is sort of what they're doing, just networking, things of that nature, and just basically know who they are, and that your rep will take care of the rest. At least that's what happened with me.
Any other comments, questions on this, clarifications?
So again, just taking a look at the current language in here, in no event shall such representative in any way interfere with the instructional program or in any, I don't know what your option's gonna be, Kerr, but I'm just kind of looking at this, and so two of the questions is, how do we ensure that we're able to maintain, if teachers want to, for whatever reason, if they're in planning or they're in some way, shape, or form, not just able to do that during that time? And then how do we also ensure that the principal has some say-so in when and how that occurs within their buildings?
So for the first one, people can simply say no, and no's an acceptable answer. And number two, the last line of our option would be the association rep shall notify the building administrator, before reporting to a work site. So we would schedule that in advance. It's not like we're just going to show up with a group of people. We would schedule that well in advance, as we always have. And our intent is just to, our idea was to add a provision to the end to make it, I guess, provision 13, but we can always marry it with item 1. We wanted something that was a little more explicit than what's in item 1.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to hear the option then. So.
They want to hear the option? Okay, so, hold on. Jay's never done an option before, so.
Yep. So I'll just paste it in. I'm a bold underline type of guy, so that's why it's bolded and underlined.
You know what else? We also see lots of bold then.
Oh, and then I hit bold instead of paste. So association rights of access and communication. The association should have the right to form, organize, and solicit membership as an exclusive bargaining agent, certified to represent all employees within a bargaining unit at any non-instructional time during the school day, provided that the solicitation does not interfere with the official duties of employees and the operation of schools. The association rep shall notify the building administrator before reporting to a work site.
So just to be clear, in this option, there is no principal approval. Basically, you just notify them and then principal has to kind of acquiesce to that.
Kevin?
Well, so this is how I'm targeting, I don't want to say targeting, but I'm looking at a school now. And we're looking at employees who, this is their first year or this is their second year with the district. And so, since I don't know what's going on in buildings, my first phone call is always, will be to the principal saying, hey, I'd like to come. And it was also somebody that hosted a pair during our staff share, right? So the principal already has a small amount of familiarity with what's going to happen because they've already hosted somebody. And as far as we know, it went well. We haven't heard anything negative from this particular school. And so I would have to figure out what day I'm going. So, I mean, the idea would be, hey, I'd like to come out. I'd like to come out on this day. What does that look like in your building? Because again, if I show up on testing, truth be told, I'm wasting my time because people are testing and I'm not talking to anybody, right? So I want to come out if it's like, a big production, like when I went around to Santa Claus, there were some schools I went to that were having like a big production and the teacher was in there, so it only benefits me in my limited amount of time to do this work to pick the day that's best. I mean, I think the idea would be, I would say, when is a good day for you? And then if the option was none of those days are good for me, then I think that would shine more light on the administrator, because I'm gonna give you like what day is best for you. And so for me, it would be not necessarily just caving into the fact that I'm coming on such and such a day, but these are the days I'd like to come. Please let me know which one works best for you. And quite honestly, it would be probably at least a week in advance. Like the school I'm looking to do is probably the first week in March. That's probably the first time I'm gonna even deal with it. So, for me, it's about my time being worthwhile as well, and me coming on a day when the school is able to accept me, and there's nothing crazy going on that I don't know about, because that's usually the first question I ask when I go somewhere is, what do you have going on in your building? I don't want to add any more stress on a stressful day for you guys.
Ron?
So typically, we add language to a contract because we're trying to resolve an issue or better define it or be more clear. What are we trying to, I understand you have an obligation to recruit members. I mean, that's clear. I'm just not sure what has changed. I've been around a long time and your membership has always been fairly robust. So I'm just wondering what has changed, why you would want to go essentially door to door in a school to solicit or recruit members. I mean, because this is a significant amount of language that the district's being asked to agree to, and it has the potential to be disruptive. I'm not saying it would be, but it does have that potential. So I heard Kerr, I understand, but I'm anxious to hear Kevin's response.
And I guess for me, we've seen, and I'm just gonna say this, allowing us to do this time had a very significant, did you share how many we got? Okay, so we saw a significant increase in the amount of people who joined based on this new strategy. Also, kind of since COVID, and I know that's been a long time, right? But since COVID, the sitting in the lounge just doesn't get the same, and sometimes we're in the lounge, sometimes we're in the mailroom, and so that really hasn't gotten the foot traffic it used to. And so in a time when our membership density is ever more important as it is right now, this kind of just allows us to be able to, and again, it's like anything else, right? If the district needs to put something in there about if we abuse it, like with the mail system, right? I'm able to use the mail system until we screw up and then you tell me I can't use the mail system anymore, right? So having been in a school, it's been a while, even a smaller school like I was in, when Santa Claus came, it was incredibly disruptive, right? So the simple answer is that the way business has happened in the past simply isn't working anymore. And this method seems to be more productive for us. and also seems to limit kind of the disruption as much as possible. Because again, even though, like Kurt said, the contract doesn't say I have to schedule, but I'm gonna schedule. I don't want anybody to ever think I'm just gonna pop up and start walking around and talking to people on a random Tuesday, because that's bad business. And so for me, really, it's the idea that what we've done in the past has been reasonably effective, but the experience that I had both in Hillsborough and we saw here, really was a marked increase in our ability to recruit membership for the union. And so, like I said, in an era where membership density is increasingly important and almost vital to survival, this is the next step. And if we mess it up, and like the mail system, if we mess it up, we can have it taken away, I guess.
I'm curious, so when you've done these in the past, but typically then according to the contract language, like what you just described, you make a call to the principal, hey, I'd like to come out to the building, talk to some members. Have you in the past asked to be able to go visit teachers, in their classrooms that they're planning, or so, because this was something new that we just kind of talked about, and quite honestly, we didn't really. Nobody seemed to. We had phone calls and said, "Hey, we've never really done this before. Is this something that we want to do? And how do we, what are we supposed to say?" Like Carl said, they would call him and ask, "Hey, what am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to answer this? Because it's been different."
Oh, can I respond to the question? Are you sure? I didn't mean to just jump in.
We've done this in the past. The response has been different based on changes in administration. At one school, we visited 3 times, and of those 3 times, twice there was a fire truck. And I don't believe that was a coincidence. We've had other schools where you're almost handed the magic key and said, here, just go and do. That makes me a little uncomfortable, which is why we like the practice of having the site-based rep there, because that's somebody that everybody knows and everybody respects. But to be able to point to some contract language to say, hey, we have the right to do this. And like Kevin said, he could show up tomorrow at school and say, hey, I want to set up here. I think codifying the past practice explicitly would stop any type of misunderstandings, head them off in the future.
Okay. Tina, I'm going to bring you the microphone.
That's okay.
Anna, you still need the mic? No, yours. Stretching.
And again, I see the proposal, and I just want to make sure, again, Kevin, the scenario you kind of described is what you're doing now. So you would call the principal and say, hey, these are the dates that I can come out, which one works for you? You have the responsibility to allow me to come in. I'd like to work with you there. Does this language actually promote what you just said, or does it not?
I think it promotes my ability to do more than sit in the lounge. And so that, and again, like that practice worked for a while, but it simply has not worked as of late. I think this language allows me to talk to people when they're not in front of kids. And again, I do not want to go somewhere and get yelled at by somebody who does not like me. And there are a list of people who do not like me. So also on top of that, we would probably ask, are there rooms we should avoid? We'd ask the building rep, are there rooms we should avoid? And we would avoid those rooms, because again, nobody should go to work to get in an argument over something.
Go ahead, Brandy, like the principal.
It's not on, sorry. I never handed on mic.
So I hear that, and they actually walked my building and it was fine. I think the struggle that I have is with the language that says notify the building, and I hear that we're gonna work with the principal and we're gonna do this, but that's not what that language says. So if we go back to when we're all gone, that understanding as to how that works, I think then if we're really gonna go there, then we need to capture that. And I just say that I would struggle if somebody then called me and said, hey, tomorrow we're gonna come walk around your building. Well, like today I had Mardi Gras and beads going on, so that's not gonna work. We did, like king cake, we were all in. So I think that's the struggle, is that like that's gonna create now a different environment in the building. So I mean, even to me, like the language of collaborate instead of notify or something, I think that's where I think we need to, coordinate. So I just feel like notify gives a very different feel when we're all gone from the table.
I've got Tina, Rob.
I mean, one thing that was mentioned was escorting the individuals, because we do have a background screening issue. I don't know who of your folks has been screened, obviously, so they didn't have to be under direct supervision of an employee at all times. So that does take a staff member away from their job. And I don't know how the principals feel about that, but that's the reality of it. We can't just let someone be in the hallways. Obviously, the teacher rep is background screened by the district. There's been mention of other folks coming, so I don't know.
I think we were talking about the NEA people that were.
Right, yeah.
I got Anna, Jill, Kevin.
I just wanted to point out that in 2.031 facilities, we do have that language in there that says that immediately upon arrival at any school facility, such representatives shall make their presence known to the principal or designee and shall indicate the purpose of such business. And it does say that it shall be the right of the principal to determine that such activity does not interfere with the school program. So that language is still in there. So this number 13 would not take away from language that's already there. I think it's more so just having that right of being able to go, like door to door, so to speak. I know when I was a newer building rep, that was how you got your membership. You had to go to people's classrooms and talk to them. We would map it out. I know I don't ever go to the teacher's lounge unless it's to use the microwave real quick and then I'm out. So I think it's important to just to have that availability to go around, and it just to bring up your point, Brady, it didn't take away from the fact that that language still is in this article, that they have to notify the principal.
Jill?
And I just want to say that, and I wasn't one of the building reps, but I know in every school, the person from NEA went with a building rep. And if a school could not, the building reps had to work with their principal to get release time, TALC covered the release time. And there were schools that I know, the principal said, we can't release teachers, maybe there's a staffing problem, maybe there were already too many people that had requested personal days. But there were schools that the principal was not able to provide a rep release time, so we didn't send someone there. So they're always going to be with a rep when they do that. And we've done this in the past. I remember doing it years ago when I was at East. And it was after school, and we had a little more time at the high school after we used to have like 45 minutes, I feel like, after the last student bell. And I had someone from FEA, and he had a visitor's pass, and we walked and we just knocked on doors, and if people didn't want to talk to us, we left. But they're always going to be with a rep, and the rep had to, like Carl even said, had to work with their principal to make sure that they could get that release time. And I know some schools have rules about how many people can be out or things like that, so there were schools that couldn't have a rep out for whatever reason.
Oh, I was gonna go, I thought you said I could go
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
So, so again, the NEA people that came and visited certainly went through the same vetting process as any visitor who arrived on campus. And in fact, we had one lady who had to go back to her hotel room to get her ID because she forgot it. And we specifically told, I don't have experiences in a lot of districts, but we specifically told them that we take security in Lee County very seriously. Like, don't show up without an ID, don't show up with a photocopy with an ID, like, you better bring your stuff. And so they were all kind of forewarned, and one lady, I think, forgot. And so she had to go back to her hotel and get it. But, so they all followed that procedure, and for those people, even though they had kind of been through the vetting process, we still made sure the rep was off the day. to escort them around. And I think everybody in our office, which is what this is gonna look like kind of 99.9% of the time, is somebody from the office. And so I think I'm pretty well cleared, and I think everybody else is in the office. So, again, we're gonna have some issues that we need to work at places like Lehigh Senior High, right? Because we're so rightfully concerned about security that once you leave the office at Lehigh Senior, in order to get into the other buildings, you need to have a key to get in. And so what does that look like? Because thankfully my pass doesn't do that. I don't want it to do that. I have access to what I need to have access to, right? So what does that look like? So that's even further along the line, and that even more backs up the idea that there will be coordination with the administrator, because if I go to Lehigh and don't have the ability to move freely through buildings, I'm gonna see about 3 classrooms in the main building. And to be honest with you, in Hillsborough, it wasn't necessarily the case. We went to a school that had a building and had other buildings on the property, and those other buildings were not key code accessed. And so we were just like going in and out of these buildings. And I'm like, this is interesting and strange at the same time, because in Lee County, this would not happen. So again, I think, and I have always worked with administrators to coordinate visits. I just don't want a situation where I diminish my ability to visit campuses, which is something I believe I'm allowed to do, by trying to get this enhanced ability, let's say. So there, again, and I think even with ID cards, it would be problematic at most schools because my card doesn't work. My card works at the, some of the doors, the main doors around here and the clipper room, and that's about it. So, so I think that's where we're at.
Questions, comments?
Thank you. I do worry a little bit about the system of like an unsolicited solicitation, like we would walk the building and look for planning periods. Only in that we're trying to protect planning time, and I wonder if teachers are going to feel like they need to be good hosts, or they need to be hospitable, or they don't want to turn someone away. So I don't know if there could be some system of, they can sign up to meet with people during their planning periods. I'm hesitant to let them knock on the door and have to turn them away.
Kevin? Yeah.
I would say that's an internal TALC thing. I will also say that if you don't like me and you don't like TALC, more times than not, you have no problem telling me. I get emails all the time and phone calls. So again, and it's interesting you talk about protecting planning, because we're going to talk about protecting planning as well. So I also think that that it's probably just me, and so what I found out from my Hillsborough experience is these are not 5-minute conversations. And so there may be 8 people with second period planning. I bet I get to see one of them. Just because of the time, I gotta find the room, I gotta knock, So this is not, again, I think this is something that we appreciate all that, but again, I think this is a new direction, and a lot of time with growth, there is discomfort, but I think we're gonna be fine. And again, I will say this again, if you don't want to talk to me, quite honestly, I do not want to get yelled at, and I do not want to get in a yelling match, which is with you in the middle of your work day, because that doesn't do anybody any good. And like I said, if you don't like me or the union, most of the time you have no problem telling me.
Anna and then Heather.
I was just gonna say, it's no different than all the other vendors that come to the school, like Grand Canyon University that's there, or Lee Health, or the people there are like, come get your blood checked, and all these other different people that sit in the staff lounge. It's no different than all of them coming, and quite personally, I'd rather someone come to my room, because I'm gonna keep working while you're talking. I don't have to go somewhere just to see it. So I think we already have all these different vendors, who are the other people, the retirement people, Equifax or something. They're always there. Yeah, they're always there too. Every day it's someone. They're there. That's when you work at a community school.
And Heather, go ahead.
A lot of what I have to say on this, Anna already echoed, but much like I would tell kids when they're worried about what am I gonna tell my parents, well, just, if you call DCF or your principal, if you're doing what you're supposed to in your home / your school, you should not be worried about having talc walk in your floors. And if you're someone who doesn't want to talk to me and you're not an adult to say, I'm busy, that's a you problem. I mean, that's just honestly, we teach children to self-advocate. We as adults have to say, I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. So maybe the only thing I could see that needs to change here is saying we'll collaborate on a time. That's the only thing that maybe would be easier.
Yeah, I know we've had quite a robust discussion. I would like, obviously to have the opportunity to kind of get some more feedback from some of our principals in relation to that. Just one question that I have, again, and just based on some of the feedback that we got, and I think it was brought up at this table, would be to consider, and I don't know if this is a consideration or not, if we were collaborating together and we found a date, could we allow some teachers to say, hey, I don't really want to be bothered during that time? Or is that, you know what I mean? Like, instead of just kind of having free reign, I think that was some of the concern. Again, there may be some principals that gave us some of that feedback. They might not be as willing to tell anybody else about that, but they might be willing to tell someone. And that was some of the feedback we got. So, I think that's, I'm not saying that it was a bunch of people, but that was some of the feedback. It may have been 4 people out of the hundreds of people that you visited. So I guess if we're done with the discussion, I would propose to give us an opportunity to get some feedback on that.
Yeah, that's cool, but again, so Kerr's gonna put the next part of Article 2 up. His next option. No, this is, the question, sorry.
This relates to new teacher orientation. The question is, how can we ensure new bargaining unit employees receive accurate information about their exclusive bargaining agent? And have meaningful access to the association at key entry points such as hiring fairs, onboarding, and NTO.
Do you want to give some story on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess same story as before. I mean, we've had access to these things in the past. Would like to codify that right as administration changes and things continue to change. But there's also been, it's my understanding, you don't just do NTO at one point during the year. There are also kind of continual opportunities for new employees to have some sort of orientation. So we would like to have access to those events as well. I'm not sure if you're still doing the evening events once a month like you were in the past. But as we noticed some things in this article we wanted to discuss, we wanted to put this in the CBA as well. I have a proposed option for this one. Again, we ripped it straight out of the HCTA CBA that I can put in here, and we can reserve this for another day so that we don't get bogged down in Article 2.
Questions or comments on this one?
And you've always done new teacher. Didn't you and I do that this past year? Yeah, right, okay.
But I mean, things change.
Yeah.
And the contract doesn't change as rapidly as personnel. So, yeah, that's, I mean, we would like to enshrine this in the CBA.
Do we need to put the option up there?
Yeah, please. Go.
Yeah.
Unless there's any other questions.
I'm going to change the word exclusive to certified just for consistency. I've had certified before. I'll just paste the option here, and then you can format it however you want. I think the idea was to add this as item 14.
How do you want us to format this? Because I was telling her when it's the same article, just do option 2, thinking it was the same question, but this is a different question.
Yeah, it'd be a different question, so maybe option 1 for this one as well.
For 2.0314.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the association shall have the right to participate, solicit members at hiring fairs, new employee processing, and new teacher orientation.
Quite innocuous. Yes, not just district-based, yeah.
Any questions or comments on this option?
I really don't have any questions, and it's pretty straightforward what you're asking to do there.
Yeah, I thought both of these were rather innocuous.
Oh, no, it's okay. I didn't know.
So is this just district level stuff, or is this like everything that happens at a school? And then I'm just thinking about how, like, what does that communication process look like? Or is that, like, if it does include, you know, we do like new teacher orientations to school level, so then is that I'm just contacting my building rep to coordinate those opportunities? Just, I know we don't want to get really into the weeds, but what does that look like? Or just if they pursue it, we allow access?
Jill?
I would say at the building level, with this language, I think it covers if the building rep asks to be a part of it and wants to talk about TALC, just like if they want to talk at a monthly meeting, to let them. And then, I know oftentimes as a building rep, you're part of a leadership team. When I was a building rep, I was a, what's Apple's mentor. So I was at all of these things. So, I mean, I think including the TALC rep, because sometimes it is also helpful to have them there in a joint presentation if there's questions about the contract, or sometimes you're talking about things. I find that, you know, that collaboration in schools is really valuable. I always had a collaborative relationship with my principal. So I think it's important sometimes for the rep to even be there, just to go over some things about the contract or answer contract questions. So I would say it'd be great if the principal would invite them, but I think if the rep asks to come to speak or share information, that they would be allowed.
Thank you, Jill. Other questions or comments?
Can you just clarify what you mean by new employee processing?
No, as I said, we ripped this from the HCTA contract. I was trying to just capture as many different entry points.
Ours is online now.
Yeah, so, well, okay, then yes, I can. In the past, TALC has been given the opportunity to have a video inserted into those the orientation. So yeah, that would be the entry point in that. I'm not advocating for, as people are being fingerprinted, people are sitting there talking to them about joining their professional organization.
Yeah, because that's how I interpreted it.
I mean, we can talk about that if you want to, but that was not the intent of the option.
And can I just step out of the box here and clarify something about the processing part then, when you're talking about NEO, the new employee orientation? The video, you did the video for Welcome Aboard for teachers, not for all employees, or not for NEO, okay?
Then that's what I would talk about.
Okay, so like Welcome Aboard, yeah, okay.
Could you, Amy or Jalen, maybe step out and explain what y'all, what that would look like hiring fairs? You guys explain hiring fairs. That just doesn't make sense to me.
At the hiring fairs?
Yeah.
We always have a table at hiring fairs. Yeah, we've always had a table there. Now, if it goes virtual, then we want to talk about what that looks like as well.
I was thinking about like when they go out to recruit, you don't know about that.
Will,
I mean,
will you take me to Vegas? I'll go to Puerto Rico.
No.
Oh, yeah, sure, okay, but, I mean, are we just talking about what we host, or are we talking about when they go out to colleges up north?
Unless you pay for it.
Yeah, we're talking more about like in the building. I know one of the big ones that we would go to would, and I don't know if they still do it, I should pay attention better. The one where like, if you're a current district employee, there's a big open house and you can come and it's like, all the schools are already there. Those are the job fairs, like the ones in this building.
District sponsored.
Yeah, district sponsored, yeah, in the building. But we'll go with you on a recruiting trip if you want us to come.
Oh, yeah, I'm not HR, but I can tell you, Mom, let's do it.
Can we test that option? I'm in as well.
You really want to go to Ohio in March?
Oh, yeah. I might. Thank you, Amy. Ron didn't do it.
Any other questions, comments about this? Do we need more discussion, table it? What do you want to do?
No, we don't have any more questions. I guess
Okay.
we kind of want to take
Move on
some
to the
time to
next one?
work on that, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
That is all for Article 2.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you for putting pace on it, that makes it much easier, appreciate it. Okay, it is 6:15, do we want to take a quick break at all? Do we need
That'd be lovely.
5 minute, 10 minute? 10-minute break?
And,
All right.
Let's figure out what I'm giving up. I didn't expect to get so far in the lead. Yeah, I thought we'd be low. I was 16.
We're gonna go through some questions for our issues, but not really get into story tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and have Ron talk about his first issue with a question.
Yeah, and I apologize, I guess, I guess it was my understanding, we were just gonna kind of present some articles and talk. So I don't have any options ready to go, but we do have some questions and those kinds of things. But I think we agreed, and we both have an issue in Article 7. So I'll just present ours is, in Article 7, we would like to take a look at the language around clocking in and clocking out. Give me 1 second. My computer won't let me access so I'll just give you the question. How do we ensure safety and accountability for employees that are assigned to multiple locations? And so in Article 7, I'm not sure exactly which part it is, but we have sign in and sign out language. Although the language, when you read it, only refers to signing in. It doesn't say anything about signing out, although it is called sign in and sign out. So we would like to discuss further at some point the ability for, especially for folks that are itinerant, that are assigned to multiple buildings, et cetera, some way of making sure that we can account for them. But it also is a safety issue. If somebody doesn't show up where they're supposed to be, well, we would want to know that.
That is 7.013A.
Thank you. I'm blocked out of on my computer.
Okay. There were line numbers back too, so.
Not giving up my line numbers.
Do you have another one?
That was mine in Article 7.
Oh, Article 7, I apologize. Go ahead, Kurt, do you have Article 7 question?
Yeah, we have a few.
Okay.
I'll just paste it
Copy and
here.
paste?
Yeah, help you out. Oh, nothing pasted, hang on a second.
Timeline?
So this relates to, where am I?
7.
Thank you.
Maybe 6.
So this relates to the lunch provision, Article 7.01B. And our, I think it's 7.011B. How do we protect teachers' contractual planning time? Is that right? No, sorry. I'm trying to do 2 things at once. That's the next question. Let me do this one first, I'm sorry. My apologies. I'm used to having 2 screens, so having 1 screen is really messing with me today. How can we protect the integrity of the contractual duty-free lunch by clarifying that planned events, including state testing, do not constitute emergencies, and that supervisory duties before or after lunch do not qualify as duty-free time? Did you say we were doing some story here?
No. But can I just clarify, thinking back to our training on our questions, that they were a little bit more, like that would be part of story, in my opinion.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's like options in there. And that's just my personal opinion, you can tell me I'm wrong. I'm just wondering if that's like an actual question or if it's a leading to an option, includes option language.
Then the question just above is equally as leading.
So it's talking about ensuring safety and accountability
And I'm talking about protecting the integrity of duties
of
for
lunch. Could that be it? Or do we need to include the other stuff? And that's just my opinion.
I
I'm
would
just
like to
wondering.
keep it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Because, well, are we going into story or no?
Yeah, we're just doing questions right now.
Okay.
All right,
Did you have another question for
7?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I just need 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, my notes are not formatted the same way. So the next one is planning. Planning time, how do we protect teachers' contractual planning time as meaningful, teacher-directed time, free from administrative encroachment, while still ensuring the district can meet legal obligations and provide structured opportunities for required meetings and collaboration? We have a question on PLCs. Thank you for bearing with me. So the next question around PLCs. How do we ensure PLC collaboration remains meaningful and sustainable by limiting the total number of mandatory PLC meetings assigned to an individual teacher each week while still supporting instructional improvement? We have a question on school events. Where am I? That's me. Oops. School events, how do we ensure transparency and predictability in scheduling school-related events by preserving the integrity of the school calendar committee process and clarifying that events not published prior to the beginning of the semester are voluntary for instructional staff?
I guess I just have to question again, are these interest-based questions? Because you're saying what your interest is in here about by limiting this, by stopping this, by dictating, or not dictating, by codifying this. So that's just my wondering, because again, when we did our training, they were very benign questions. So like, how do we ensure PLCs remain meaningful and sustainable, period? But when you say by limiting the number of them, that's no longer an interest-based question in my mind. That's so is that, we're talking about the modify, oh, okay. So like, oh, maybe that is part of the modification. It's more of a leading question, leading what includes your proposal or option. So then when the district responds to that, they need to include that. So how do they remain meaningful and sustainable? They have to respond to by limiting something.
They did not respond to our question about Article 2 in the same vein. So
But we're still tabling things. So, and that's just me, it just seems like these ones have more leading towards proposals in the questions, and they're not open-ended to shared interest.
I think I'm going to call for a 5-minute caucus, please.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna say 10.
Okay. Ready? Okay. All right, Kurt, caucus report, please.
We discussed all of our questions and are happy as is and ready to move forward.
Thank you. Ron?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed, what possible reactions you might have to that. I mean, I think there is legitimacy to the interest-based process and what they, the training that they provide. I understand you're trying to present your questions and, we're not, at this point, we're gonna be okay with moving forward. We don't wanna hem the process up, but I think there is definitely, it's a good idea to point out some of those situations where we do stray from the IBB process. And again, that's part of the reason why we talked about that from the beginning, because I think we really wanna try to do that, because the idea is for us to collaboratively have conversations to solve these.
Okay, thank you.
So we have one more to put up.
Okay. Oh, you're putting up, you wanna put it right
I just didn't want to move your cursor. I'm very conscious about not moving your cursor. No. Working collaboratively on shared documents can be a nightmare. Copy. The last one relates to holidays and Veterans Day. How can we align the contract with the board adopted school calendar by recognizing Veterans Day as a holiday or non-paid, non-work day within the 196-day work year? I think that's our last one.
Okay, thank you. What other, was that you guys had Article 2 and 7? Okay, and you guys had Articles?
Yeah, we have a couple items in Article 12, so I'll go ahead and present the questions. The first question we have has to do around the provision in the contract that allows for 1 hour increments for leave. So the question is, how do we ensure that classrooms continue the student achievement process when teachers are absent while being fiscally responsible? And I'll say it a lot slower. How do we ensure that the student achievement process continues in classrooms when teachers are absent? Well, I'll change that to maintaining fiscal responsibility.
Wow.
Absent, ever absent.
Yes.
Okay, next one.
Next question is, and again, if Article 12 is not the place for this, then we can have that discussion too, but we don't really have anywhere to put it, but the only reference to this is in our FMLA language. The question is, how do we ensure that all staff are capable of meeting all requirements as stated in job descriptions?
Okay, anything else?
Last one. And again, I think this is the place, we're talking about terminal language. So it's Article 12. How do we ensure clarity for all staff in relation to retirements or resignations? how do we ensure clarity for all staff in relation to the process for retirement or resignation? Sorry. And the story behind that is many contracts have some language about when you can resign and like, for example, if you resign at the beginning of a winter break, many contracts have a definition of what that should look like in relation to your last physical work day, as opposed to when you can resign and what gets paid in between that time. That's the best thing I could do as far as a question. That's all I have.
Anything else? Any other questions?
We have something to talk.
Okay.
I want to include the article numbers, I suppose. Just paste it down here and you can make a section for TALC. How might we structure paid leave in connection with FMLA eligibility so that it reflects our shared interests in employee well-being, retention, and organizational sustainability? That's difficult for me to say. And also in Article 12, that first one relates obviously to the parental leave proposal or section. The second one relates to the domestic violence or sexual violence section. How can we ensure that employees who are victims of domestic or sexual violence have sufficient flexibility to address safety, legal, medical, and housing needs?
Okay.
Anything else? Is there any questions?
Okay. We have a lot to talk about with our groups before our next bargaining session, which I think is, today's the 17th, so it's 27th? No, it's before that. It's March 2nd? Thank you. So March 2nd is our next time for meeting. Are we good with ending on this note with our questions and things to go back on? Brian gave me a thumbs up, so I think that means we're good. All right, thank you guys all for your work tonight. We did get a lot accomplished tonight.
We'll work on something for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
The new joint communication process, we still have a new deadline tomorrow maybe or something.
So we talked about this in pre-bargaining. We're going to try to get out as soon as possible. I'd like to shoot for noon tomorrow to get a joint communication out for bargaining. So we'll take the minutes, probably run it through chat, give us a nice summary of what occurred, and then we'll share it and send it out.